On. Okay, here we go. Hi, everybody. This episode is called So, Can I Ask You Something? You remember that I asked people to send in questions around what they wanted to know. So today I'm joined by Vonnie, my friend Vonnie, that you met in a previous episode, who's on the same journey about 12 weeks ahead of me. And my sister Sue is going to be our interviewer today. So without further ado, I will throw over to you, Sue.
Excellent. And thank you to everyone who's put some questions in, and then I'm probably going to add some of my own as well. But there seems to be, in the themes of what's coming through, people are fascinated about chemo, because I think it is something that if you've never had any exposure to it, it's a very mysterious thing about what happens during chemo. So I thought we could start there, but maybe by just recapping, where are you both in your chemo journeys? How many more sessions do you have, and when will chemo be finished?
Vonnie, do you want to start?
Sure, I'll start. So tomorrow is my second last chemo, and so that is chemo session number 15 of 16, and so my final chemo will be on the 2nd of January. So good way to start the new year.
Yeah, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's
So
great.
I have just finished my fourth from the 2 week intervention sort of thing, and then I've got 3 weeks off, and I'll start the 12-week weekly chemo. So I've got, as I said, I'm about 12 weeks behind Vonnie.
Excellent. So I think one of the questions that came in was, what does it feel like to get chemo? Does it hurt? Like, what's the actual chemo experience like? Is it painful?
It's not painful, but Vonnie and I have got different things as well. So I've got a porta cap. So they just stick it in. It's a permanent thing, whereas then Vonnie's got a cannula, so I'll let her talk about that. But you can't feel anything. Everyone texts you on the day of chemo saying, hope it goes well. But for me, it's easy. I just sit there and work, and you don't feel anything. Von?
Yeah, so because I do the cannula, I have a little it's me, my mental state, my mental processing. But yeah, so I have the 10 seconds of them putting the cannula in, which I find a little bit stressful, but it actually doesn't really hurt. It hurts less than someone pinching me, really, than putting the cannula in my arm. But yeah, like Narelle said, sitting in the chair is pretty easy. I mean, you get a nice dose of steroids before you start and a few other medications. So it's you're a little bit relaxed, I guess. And yeah, so it's pretty easy. I mean, I think the first 12 weeks I did ice gloves and ice socks. And so a lot of focus is like trying to a lot of my focus was trying to get through that, having these really cold ice gloves and socks on. And that was to help stop neuropathy. So yeah. With the
and I'll do the same once I go into the 12 weeks as well.
Yeah. So for those people who are listening that have been familiar, when you go into hospital to get fluids through a cannula, is it kind of no different to that in terms of you're not really feeling anything when that's happening? Is chemo similar to that in terms of the experience?
Yes, basically. Like it's just, once the cannula's in and the drugs are flowing, I guess is the way to say it. But you don't really feel it at all. Yeah. And I mean, I think the oncology nurses are like amazing at doing cannulas, and they can put them in like quite deep veins in your arm without feeling a thing. And I mean, probably one of the main, for other drugs, one of the main ones is they put it in your elbow crease, and they really try to avoid that, because I have had that once, and it sort of is a bit more irritating there than.
So where do they put yours, Von, on your arm?
All over the place. They basically look for the best vein on the day. I mean, I've had them like right up here. With the drug that we're on now, the affectionately known Red Devil, which I can't remember the proper name of, they try to put it closer to your hand, like, so that if you know that issue of if it gets out of a vein,
Yeah.
that it can be quite serious. So they try to, because then it's restricted to a lower part of your arm.
And they
Yeah.
ask you all that, they say to you right up front, if you're feeling any swelling or pain or itchiness, you need to tell us if anything's out of the ordinary. So I think we're both lucky we haven't, although did you have one?
I had on my 3rd week with the Taxol, I had a reaction, and yeah, there was no need. I told them very quickly that something was not quite right, because I I got this pain, and then I was just flushed, and there was just, I don't know, it was a little bit panicky sensation. So yeah, they came very quickly, and the drugs were stopped, and things were sorted very quickly. So yeah.
Yeah, that's great. So then what about afterwards? Because I think, again, you probably hear a range of stories of, post chemo, you're wiped out, like people are sick. What's been the two of your experiences post chemo, and what's been the most difficult part?
Well, I think we've been on the different ones. So I've only experienced the first one. So mine is 3 days of steroid tablets afterwards. So I'm pumping, I'm going to the gym, I'm working, it's fine. Then on the Saturday, which is the 4th day, is when I basically go off, I'm off the steroids and I just tired. And at the moment, I'm probably tired for 3 days. So yeah, I'm not sick, but I'm just exhausted. So I just make sure I do nothing. And then I probably am not back to normal. So that's through to the Monday. I'm probably not back to normal until the Thursday. You're still sort of ramping up.
Yes, so my experience with these drugs is similar. It's like, 3 days on steroids and you feel fine, as long as you try. I find steroids muck with my sleep a fair bit, so that I can get a bit tired, but otherwise I feel quite good. And then, because my chemo date's Thursday, by Monday, that whole week I feel like I could describe it as up and down, and just really heavy and tired and a bit achy. And I mean, as far as feeling sick, I don't ever let myself feel. This minute I feel a little bit of nausea, I take medication basically. So yeah, I think so the whole feeling sick is pretty easy to manage, I guess.
Yeah.
For me anyway, it could be different for someone else. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. For each of you, what's been the biggest challenge in terms of the physical changes that have happened as you've gone along the chemo journey?
Losing taste buds. It's the only thing I'm complaining about, and complaining about often.
Yeah. Taste is certainly. And then I get it back, and then I think, oh, it's all right. And then lose it again. And then you're like, oh, anyway. And the other thing for me too, I think, and maybe this is because I've now, 15 treatments in, sort of thing, over, I can't remember how many weeks, but I just physically feel really fatigued and heavy, and I don't know, I describe it as feeling a bit weak, I think, sometimes.
Yeah.
And that is difficult to deal with, because you know what I'm like, Sue, I'm very high energy and whatnot, and those times that you're down, it's like, why is it like this, and should I be pushing myself? But nah.
Yeah, that's good. Listening to your bodies, I suppose you're both doing a lot that you just need to rest when your body's saying rest, and go for it when you're on the roids and you're pumped up on things. Interesting that neither of you mentioned the hair loss and the going bald factor. And, I know as women, it sort of seems like we're obsessed with our hair, whether it's getting it colored or cut, and like we just have this obsession about hair. Has it been vulnerable going bald? What's that experience been like?
I was so excited about shaving my head, because it's something you sort of think about that you would never be game to do, and suddenly you're forced to. I loved it. And obviously in the middle of summer, it's nice and cool, particularly at night, when you're also going through menopause. So I probably, and Vonnie and I had this discussion for work, I would have my hair on all the time. And then I went back to scarves for people I knew. And then I went bald for the people I knew. So it's really only external people that I have the hair on for. So, yeah, I've found it quite a good experience.
Yeah, I guess the same. I feel like I thought it might have been hard, but then once it happened and I was like, oh, it's okay. You can kind of make your, I guess it's because it's about your appearance, and I was not like completely distressed about my appearance, I guess, without hair. So I can imagine that it can be difficult for other people, and depends how you, yeah. But yes, hair, I feel like hair loss is the least of my worries, really. So
Yeah.
I mean,
And
I am.
I think we were lucky we both had pretty good skulls too, hey, Vonnie?
Yeah, yes.
Do you find like, just when you're out in public, people look at you differently or treat you differently? Like, has any of that been obvious?
No, I don't
No.
feel. No, I don't feel like. I feel like people. I think I'm more aware of it. Like I went to a work barbecue yesterday, and there's some people who, because I had a scarf on and my sunglasses when I arrived, they were like, "Oh, we didn't realize it was you," and hadn't really heard the there's extended group thing. And so then I felt like, oh yeah, that's because I'm bald. I had to explain a little bit. But other than that's the only time I'm like, oh, people were a little bit, oh, you've changed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But they're people I knew. Whereas I think when you go out in public, no one even bats an eye. No one
it can be
looks.
quite disappointing actually. Although I had one when I went to get my
Yeah.
blood test, I had a scarf on and I walked in and it was packed. And this person about my age was like, "Would you like a seat?" And I'm like, "No." But then I went to this morning. I went to get my nails done. So day after chemo, so I had to explain to them, I've just had chemo. I might be cytotoxic. For your own protection, you should wear gloves. And they're just like, okay. And I'm like, is that it?
That's so funny. I want to end on a little bit of a deep one because I'm inspired by both of your positivity through this journey and just the mindset and the strength, the resilience that you approach it all with. But I want to ask, is it hard to stay positive? And are there moments where you actually feel scared? And if yes, what are some of your strategies for moving through that?
I don't feel scared ever because I think from the whole way through, and I said this, and I don't like saying this flippantly, but it's sort of becoming like the common cold. Every second person seems to have breast cancer. You don't hear about a lot of people dying from it, and the doctors are very positive. So I've never been scared with it. And maybe I'm living in a false sense of security, but I sometimes get angry. So you can tell when I'm not feeling well and I'm a bit snappy. And one time when I was had the whole fatigue and everything, and I had my insulin alarm going off, I was just yelling at the pump, telling it to shut up, which is something I wouldn't do. So I have had anger moments.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like not really. I guess I get a little bit scared every time I think about the next step in the procedure, like, because it's such a long kind of um long journey of the treatment. Like you do your chemo and then we've got to do surgery, and then I found out yesterday I do have to have radiation after my surgery. So yeah. So so there's all these steps. So the next step I start to think a little bit, but I guess I feel like I've gone into some kind of self-protective mode where I'm just not thinking about all the negative things that could happen. And I think there's also been such lovely support from friends, family, work colleagues. It's been amazing so I think that's helpful as well. But yes, I get very whingy and cranky when I'm tired and feeling a bit unwell. So,
Yeah.
Me too.
You're both entitled to. Just on that topic, Narelle, of like it feels like there's more and more women with breast cancer. If both of you had just one tip to give someone who's just received a diagnosis, what would it be?
Oh, that's a hard
uh,
one. For me, it would be don't Google. So go down, trust your medical advisors first, because there is so much information you're given. You don't need to go onto Google and go down a rabbit hole of the really bad outcomes and whatnot. So for me, it would be just trust your medical team, ask lots of questions. And, if you do know someone who's going through it at the same time, like that was great that I had Vonnie, because she's 12 weeks ahead of me and I could, sort of ask her questions as well. So if you know someone, talk to someone who's going through it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I agree with all of that. Yeah. As well.
Yeah. Good. Well, thank you to both of you on behalf of all your listeners, all your fans, Narelle, on the channel. But I know, it's just so your openness and your ability to share this information just helps everyone that's supporting you, but also that will be supporting other people or maybe dealing with this themselves. So thank you for your openness. And to anyone that's listening, if this has actually prompted more questions, send them into Narelle, because we can do this again. We're just trying to keep the episodes fairly tight. So yeah, thank you everyone.
And thanks, Sue, for being our interviewer, and thanks, Vonnie, and as Sue said, thanks to everyone else.
Thank you for having me. Thanks.